Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. What a week. Goodbye mask mandates and vaccine requirements. Well, officially, anyway. We're headed into the weekend with Terry Hollimon and Rachel Belle. But first, let's get you caught up. Governor Jay Inslee largely lifted Washington's indoor mask mandate Thursday, effective March 21st. That applies to schools, childcare centers, restaurants and bars, churches, gyms, retail, and grocery stores. But you might want to keep a bunch of masks on hand. Inslee says local governments and school districts can enact their own mask mandates, and private businesses will still have the right to require customers to wear masks. Oh, and they're also still required in healthcare settings and on public transportation. King County's Regional Homelessness Authority just pulled in a big donation, $10 million from private donors to spend on a new plan to get hundreds of people off downtown streets. The money will pay for a team of navigators with a budget to get the people they work with into temporary housing. Starbucks, Amazon, and Microsoft all kicked money in, but the biggest chunk came from philanthropists Steve and Connie Ballmer. And it seems Seattle Nice has its limits. According to Uber drivers, Seattle riders are among the worst in the country, second only to New Yorkers. New Yorkers! GeekWire reports Uber will start letting passengers check out their ratings as part of a new feature on its app. The company didn't share specifically why we're all terrible, but things like making a mess, not wearing a seatbelt, and keeping drivers waiting all got a mention. Here we are at the end of another week, and it feels like we're hurtling towards a new normal. The masks are starting to come off, the proof of vaxx is going away, and a lot of remote workers are getting the call to come back to the office. Time to find those work pants, ladies and gentlemen. Terry Hollimon is here. He's one half of the Barbershop podcast. Good to see you again, Terry.
Good to be back with you, Trish.
So glad you're here. And Rachel Belle is here. She's the host of the Your Last Meal podcast. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Trish. I want to call you Trishy, but that's not professional, so I won't.
Trishy's fine. That's fine with me. Anything but Pat is fine in my world. Rachel, how many in-office work outfits do you have right now?
Okay, so I just came back to the office this week for the second time. You know, we came back before, went home from Omicron. So this morning, it's taking me a long time to get ready in the morning. I don't remember how I managed to shower, get dressed, pack a lunch in this small amount of time. I got to get back to the old days.
You know, that is such an important point because I feel like just getting to the office is the tip of the iceberg for so many people. The schedule upset, the emotional upset of all of this is really going to come back into play. This week, Microsoft, Expedia, and the city of Seattle and the county, too, announced plans to fully reopen in the coming months. So much to unpack. Terry, where are you at? You're at home, I can see from your screen.
Yeah, I'm at home right now, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be at home forever. You know, sometimes I go into my day job, which is an office setting. But fortunately for me, there's not a lot of other people in the office with me. My day job, if y'all don't know, is financial planning. And unless there's somebody in there needing me to plan their finances, I don't see many people. So I'm good with that. And then my other job is Uber driving kids from school and basketball and soccer and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not worried about those guys either.
They don't care what you wear. Well, you know, it's just such a big signal to other employers. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of workers coming back to the office. And being presentable is just like one part. I found that when I go into the office lately, I can't get any work done because there's so many people around me with noises and distractions and social interactions that I had not planned on. It's really going to be an adjustment.
Do you guys feel any anxiety when you go back to work? Because like I said, I'm not around a lot of people. And I know before, when I was around a lot of people, it was kind of our norm, right? You felt normal around people. You didn't second guess or question whether somebody's cough was the COVID or whether somebody sneezing was a problem. Do you guys find yourselves in an anxious position?
I'm not feeling that way because I actually believe that the masks do a really good job. I find that the people who have been getting COVID, that I know at least through, already being vaccinated and having the booster shot, it seems to be like when they've gone to a restaurant and you don't really have to wear your mask the whole time in the restaurant. So I feel pretty okay about that. But I will say I do not like wearing the mask the whole day. I know that I'm supposed to, but that's a part that I don't enjoy. I would rather be home and have my face free. It's just so much more comfortable than having to wear a mask for 8 hours. But I keep telling myself, my friends in the service industry, they have been doing this for 2 years, wearing a mask, at least 5 days a week. So I'm trying to suck it up, but I don't enjoy that. And then the other unexpected thing, being someone who is, dare I say, obsessed with food, the thing that I've gotten used to at home is, oh, I'm hungry. I can eat whatever is here in the fridge, in the pantry. What am I going to make for lunch? Now I have to eat the one thing that I brought. And like yesterday, I went to the work fridge and I was like, you again. I do not want you. And you're all that I have. It's like culinary monogamy.
Oh, that's funny.
I recall being out there in the workforce, and I remember lunch being a big thing. Like, that was a big deal. Like, sometimes you'd meet your coworkers for lunch. Like, you want to go to a special restaurant, you want to do Mexican today, Chinese today, pizza, Italian. That was a big deal, right? And, we've gotten used to this thing where we just eat at home now. And I'm concerned about people out there. Are they going to want to go back to the restaurants with their friends? I think it'd be a good idea. Like, I would be excited to get back out there and do that with my coworkers. But are people out there going to be excited? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think people are going to want to go to lunch to take their mask off because that's the only time at work that I can take mine off. I have been snacking. I noticed I'm snacking more just so I can take my mask off. I've eaten 35 tangerines today already just so I don't have to wear it. So I think people will look forward to that. And I don't know, from my experience, like I've been going out to eat a little bit and it's hard to get into some places still on the weekends. Like you can't get a reservation. So I think people will go out and I feel for those restaurants because in South Lake Union, all of their business was based on, Amazon, and places have closed permanently. So I'm sure that they can't wait, to get back to business again.
I could see a massive shifting going on here in terms of, people working out remote plans, in terms of businesses coming back online, trying to fill spaces with workers that they, weren't filling before. This is going to be a major transition for downtown and Redmond, right?
And the East Side all in general. But the one question I have, the one, thing that boggles my mind is because we've been having problems so far with restaurant staffing people, getting the hostesses and hosts and waiters and waitresses and helps. And so when these people all of a sudden come rushing back to these restaurants, what is that going to mean for the service industry? Are they going to be overwhelmed? Are they going to be overrun? Because right now, just coming in, like trickling in half staff, it's still rough out here for people.
Yep. And speaking of breaking out, you won't have to break out your vaxx card anymore at restaurants, bars, and gyms. So that's going to create a whole other level of potential situation for people because King County is going to end the mandate next month, but individual establishments are going to make their own decisions about whether or not they're going to require you to have a vaxx card to get in.
Not exactly sure how I feel about this because, I wasn't unsure about the situation in the beginning about going to these restaurants with my vax card because I know I had the vaccination. But the question here is, how many of those people in there really didn't have a real vaccination? I know that some of the places that I showed up to and showed my card to, those people weren't necessarily fully qualified to be checking my medical records. In my own personal opinion, some of them didn't really look at it very hard. Like I could have showed them my Costco card and got in, I'm sure.
And think about the awkward position all these young servers and service workers are in, having to ask somebody for their vax card, maybe, who's going to give that person some drama. This is going to alleviate a lot of tension for service workers.
I agree. I mean, I have a friend who owns a business and sometimes she's the only one there working. It's a food establishment and she really didn't like checking because it was so hard for her to be doing her job and also checking. But I really wish they were going to keep that in place. I think it's going to kind of divide restaurants. I think a lot of people, including me, would maybe only continue going to places that do check, at least for a while, because, the truth is when you're in a restaurant, your mask is off the whole time. You ceremoniously, theatrically wear it on your way to your table, and then you just take it off and you eat. And I know, people are still getting COVID, even though they're vaccinated and boosted. So it doesn't mean you're not going to get it, but maybe it's just psychological. It makes me feel better. Yeah, I've really appreciated people checking.
I think we're in a position now, Rachel, where 87% of King County has been vaccinated. So, I think those are pretty good odds, and I think they're continually improving. So I think you get in a situation where you're 87, 90% of the people that you're around are vaccinated. You're in a pretty safe space. And if you are vaccinated and you do happen to catch the virus, it's less deadly than it was at obviously at the beginning in the onset of the pandemic. But, we're kind of mitigating our losses right there. We're saying, hey, we've all been vaccinated. The majority of us have been vaccinated. If we get the virus, it's not going to be a deadly situation.
That's true, because I kind of did like, the vaxx card showing as a pressure to people like, hey, if you want to go to the movies, if you want to go out to dinner, if you want to go to a Mariners game, you have to get vaccinated. But you're right, if we're almost at 90%, are those, 11, 12% of people, are we going to convince them by making them get vaccinated just to go into these places? Maybe those people are never going to get vaccinated.
They probably aren't. And Trish, and that's the thing I wanted to ask both of you guys. I'm sure, well, at least where I live, I'm out here in the sticks, and I always see the protest vaccinate people, the protest mask people that'll walk inside the grocery store with no mask on just as their own personal protest. What are these people going to do now? So the vax, we've alleviated the need for you to have the vaccine and the mask. Now what's the problem?
They're going to fight about something else, Terry. We got to figure out something else for them to fight about. You know what I am not going to miss, actually? The anxiety I feel about having to pull up my vax card on my phone. Mostly because I share a photo stream with a 16-year-old. But that moment, I compare it to going to the ATM where you have that moment where you're like, is the cash going to come out? Am I going to find the vax card? Everybody's waiting for me to come up with my vax card. I'm the girl who has my ticket ready for the train 6 blocks before I get there because I don't want that moment of anxiety. So that will be alleviated.
There is a teacher's pet feeling that comes over me when I can show it, though, because I'm born and raised teacher's pet. I'm here's my card. Look at it. I got 8+s 3 times. I have to admit, I like that feeling.
You know what I did, Rachel? And because I was, a victim of it early on, I couldn't find my card. I was lost in the sauce trying to throw through 30,000 pictures. I created my own vax card album. So if you guys haven't done that yet, create an album on your phone that says Vax card, where the only picture there is the Vax card. So Smart. There I go. I've helped everybody out there in Seattle. Now that we don't need it.
That's right. Just in time. Masks might be going away too. Governor Inslee making some announcement after we tape the show today. But I am thinking he might be getting to a point where we're going to set a date for those mask mandates to end. I think I'm going to keep wearing mine. What about you guys?
I will too. This is Seattle. When we were allowed to take our masks off the first time, to go to the grocery store or whatever, my grocery store was full of masks. We were all still wearing them. We're all teachers' pets. I think until we get a new vaccine that actually is a real vaccine, like all the other ones you've had your whole life where you will not get that disease, I think until we have that, I'm probably going to wear the mask. This week, I was telling you guys before we started, I went to a friend's, we had a fondue party, and everyone had to test in order to come in and eat melted cheese. So, if we're not going to be wearing masks anymore, I feel like there's going to have to be way more testing going on, and nobody has enough of those little tests.
Yeah. We only got 4 from Uncle Sam, right? And that's really not enough. I think I'm going to wear my mask definitely in situations where other people are wearing their masks and in public situations. I generally tend to wear mine more so for other people's comfort than my own. Because I know sometimes I'm around people who are susceptible or vulnerable, older people. Like my parents, they won't want me to say that they're older people, but you know what I'm saying. I do it for them, and it's not necessarily for me. I'm relatively young and healthy, and I've been vaccinated. I got my booster. So I'm really here for other people's comfort level, and I think that, that's a good deal for people.
Yeah, I appreciate being undercover, too. I don't mind
all your
hiding a little
fans,
bit
all
here
your
and there.
rabid fans attacking you on the street. You get to be
I'm
anonymous
an anxious
for the first
introvert,
time.
Rachel. I'm telling you, I just explained to you what happens to me when I have to show my vaxx card. When we went home, it was like, this is my dream. And we are leaving it there. Thanks to our guest, Rachel Belle, host of the Your Last Meal podcast, and Terry Hollimon, co-host of the Barbershop podcast. Check them both out. So good to talk to you two.
Thank you for having us.
Trish.
Have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us on Casual Friday. Jason Pagano produced today's show. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy. Have a good weekend.